Hello and welcome to Pro Trader Strategies Market Commentary for Monday, December the 28th. I'm Eric Wilkinson, and you very well may recognize me from mainstream media, where I've talked about the economic data, the geopolitical environment, and how that all comes in to impact the markets with some of my market analysis. I do the same thing for you folks out there in these daily market commentaries, but I also go a little bit further and talk about these option strategies I'm implementing into my portfolio based on those assumptions I come up with for directional analysis. Also, for you all, I've streamlined that process to find the optimal option strategy for any given assumption. We aren't talking about just going out there and buying calls and puts for a bullish or bearish assumption. What we do is we look at this underlying and see what's going on in and around that. That will tell you what is the optimal option strategy for any assumption. And I break that all down in my webinar, so please go to protraderstrategies.com to sign up for those webinars. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you like the video. Comment at the bottom as well. I'd love to have the back and forth. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you all. All right, further on, let's get on with the economic data. Well, it's a Monday, and Mondays usually are pretty light. Well, today especially so. We just had the Christmas holiday last week at the end of the week. Well, today in Great Britain and in Canada, it is a bank holiday, so probably a little bit lighter than normal volumes going on in the markets today. We are seeing, though, something that is really making these equities move higher and make some new highs there, and that is because of the economic stimulus package has been passed. Trump signed it, so $600 stimulus checks, total of a $900 billion stimulus package. Some of that going PPP for forgivable loans for staffing, things of that nature, really breaking it down. But for the most part, a $600 stimulus check, which Trump originally said he wasn't going to sign. He wanted more coming out of those stimulus checks to the retail or to the public. Well, he decided over the weekend to go ahead and sign this because it doesn't look like it would get passed anytime soon if they tried to do anything else. That is driving the markets a little bit higher. Here we can take a look at crude oil. It is pretty flat across the board. Something also, Japan is stopping flights coming into Japan from Great Britain and other countries. So they're shutting down there. We're also seeing on the flip side of that, the banking stocks are really skyrocketing right now because financials and discretionaries are supposed to do very well in a Biden administration. So they're getting a little bit of a lift. And those are some of those values that we've been talking about with this sector rotation. And we could start seeing that more and more in the next couple of weeks here, especially heading into the new year, as people try to hedge up their portfolios heading into the new year is something we might start to see here this week. All right. And crude oil, it is, it's kind of holding on to these 40s. That I would expect it to go into the lower 40s here as people aren't still traveling at this point or driving. And that is a huge consumption of crude oil plus airlines as well. That isn't happening. There are a consumption of the crude oil as it gets broken down into distillates and into other products, gasoline, jet fuel. All right, so a little bit ahead of itself in my eyes. Gold futures, they're unchanged for the most part, pretty quiet today, still inside of that triangle we drew. And bonds coming off by about 18 ticks, starting to see these interest rates start to go up. It's way ahead of itself, you guys. I think that bonds are a bit mispriced here at this point because it does not look like the Fed is going to raise interest rates anytime soon, and the bonds are already starting to try and price that in. It's not going to happen. It probably won't even happen for 2021 going forward. So I think that the bonds just a little bit ahead of themselves on rising interest rates. And we've got the VIX slightly coming off because we talked about this, right? We have equities moving higher here with the Dow Jones Industrial Average up over 250 points on the day. You can see creating a high there as well with the NASDAQ just a few ticks away from that high right now, up 108 points on the day, 108, 109 points on the day, back above this little trend channel, which is showing us it wants to follow along that trend channel that I drew back in 2017. So it came back around here, and we are starting to kind of pop back and forth on that. It gives us a good trajectory as far as I'm concerned. That is a healthy rising market that we're seeing going on here in the NASDAQ and equities across the board for the most part here, as we can show up in the E-mini S&Ps up 32 points on the day, and as you can see, just a couple ticks away from their highs as well, being printed during the day session. As you can see, out of the gates, a new move to the upside. We can see overnight, as the market is opened on Sunday night, the news was out about the stimulus package, and we got that big lift in the markets. Still kind of in that winding up of the rubber band. Thought we might get a bit more of a pop today, but just kind of slowing down here as there is just lighter than normal volumes. All right, let's talk about some of the trades that I've got going on. If you guys remember in PENN, I've owned this forever, since basically it was trading around $4.50. I got it in it around $4.49, as a matter of fact, is the exact strike there. And I've been doing covered calls on this trade, trying to lower that overall cost basis to a big zero. That would be a huge coup. And I have some covered calls on that I'm looking to try and get out of. They're a ways away. They're about 30 cents away right now. But if you guys remember, in the January, I've sold the 120 calls in there for $1.23, I believe it was. And I'm trying to get out right now. I've just got a working order in there for a quarter, and it's trading around 50 cents. So I'm about 25, 30 cents away. But much more of a breakdown here in PENN, and I'll probably be able to get out of those for around 22 cents if I get about a $2 move further down here, and lowering my overall cost basis in this trade. I'm not worried about a massive downside move here, but I am trying to lower my overall cost basis and stay mechanical with that trade. All right, and then we move over to EA Sports. Guys, remember I put on some long puts in here in the EA Sports in the March, bought the 130 puts in there. Market finally starting to look like it's going to roll back over. I'm looking for it to come down, obviously, to around this 130 handle and this volume node that we've got lined up there in and around 128, 130. But I think that we might break down and go and test that area. So I played that to the downside, but finally starting to get a directional move in my favor. It's been choppy back and forth, and kind of waiting for that trade as well. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about LMND. If you guys remember, they're like an online insurance company. And what's going on? Why is this market down 15% on the day? You can see that this is when they opened right around $50 and have over doubled, almost tripled that to the upside. But today, that correction, why? Because they're releasing like 40 million shares tomorrow. So that is down ahead of that move or that release of those stocks. Remember, if they're adding that much more supply to the market, well, higher supply with the same demand would drive prices down, and this is ahead of that move right now. And that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm pretty quiet as well. Got a few things I'm going to be working on for some other webinars you guys will be able to check out pretty soon here. And that's about it. So I hope you guys all have a great day. One last thing we do have to talk about is please take a moment to go over our disclaimer, as we're an educational company and there are risks involved in trading. All right, so hope everybody had a great weekend. And if you can't take that, take it easy.